Good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic of discussion is skin. I'll be going through the details of just the histopathology and gross findings. You will be dealing with all these things in detail for your theory classes. Okay, as we all know, there are two types of leprosy, that is lepromatous leprosy and tuberculoid leprosy. So, first, we'll go to lepromatous leprosy. This is the normal histology of skin. Just to brush through your first year. So you know what are the layers of skin, right? There are 5 layers of skin, and this is the superficial layer with the, that is, conified layer, and then just below that you have the squamous epithelium. Okay, squamous epithelial lining, and then you have dermis, which is divided into two. Okay, so now what are the 5 layers of skin? You have stratum corneum, that is the most superficial layer. Then you have stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and finally you have stratum basal. Okay, then you have the dermo-epidermal junction, that is the DEJ junction, and then you have the dermis, which is divided into papillary dermis and reticular dermis. Okay, so lepromatous leprosy, the usual presentation is they can either present as nodules or macules or papules. Okay, so this is a picture wherein you can see that the patient presented with multiple nodules on the forehead, on the nose, okay, and causing disfigurement. Okay, so here, how do you describe it as? These are symmetrical, multiple erythematous. Okay, usually in the form of macules, papules, nodules, or they can be diffuse infiltrate. Okay, symmetrically they will be seen. Okay, so then coming to the histology, what you will find is, you will find a diffuse infiltration of foamy macrophages, usually within the dermis. Okay, just below that, below the epidermis, you have a clear zone which is called as the Grenz zone, and abundant acid-fast bacilli can be seen either within the foamy macrophages or singly, or they can be seen in clumps called as globi. Okay, and lymphocytes will be seen, which is scanned. Giant cells are typically absent. Okay, usually they are absent. So this is the histology wherein you can see this is the epidermis. So just below the epidermis, can you see that clear space? That is the Grenz zone. Okay, and deeper dermis, you are seeing diffuse infiltration. Okay, with foamy macrophages, some of them with bacilli within it. Okay, you can see them. See, these are foamy macrophages with bacilli, and these bacilli can be either in the form of singly arranged, or they can be in clusters. Okay, they are called as globi. Now the special stain to demonstrate the bacilli, this is the bacilli, the pink rod shaped structures which you are seeing, is White-Faraco stain. Okay, that is a special stain. Now next is tuberculoid leprosy. The classification is important. Okay, leprosy, you have tuberculoid leprosy, then you have borderline tuberculoid, then you have borderline lepromatous, and lepromatous leprosy. That is how the classification goes. There are 2 different classifications. The theory part will be dealt later. Okay, so here in tuberculoid leprosy, what happens is the patient usually presents with asymmetrical lesion. Okay, they can be either single or few small hypopigmented patches, or they can be in the form of erythematous macules also. And here the classical feature is there is distinct sensory impairment. Okay, nerves are usually involved, and the commonly involved nerves are ulnar nerve and the common peroneal nerve. There is thickening of the nerve associated with this. Okay, here this is the hypopigmented patch which you can see. Here in tuberculoid leprosy, usually the bacterial load is less, but host immunity is very strong. So you will have more of an aggressive form of reaction. Okay, now in histology, basically you know it is tuberculoid leprosy, right? So here you will have epithelioid granulomas, usually seen in the dermis. Okay, they are usually seen in and around the vessels, that is the nerves or the blood vessels. So there is granuloma formation, surrounding that you have lymphocytes and Langerhans type of giant cells. Okay, so this is the section of a skin wherein you can see this is the diffuse, there is diffuse infiltration of the bacilli and with granuloma which is seen around the blood vessels. This is the giant cell reaction. Okay, here there are multiple giant cells reaction. This is a magnified view wherein you can see giant cell reaction, and you can see some scattered lymphocytes with the bacilli cannot be demonstrated much, but at least you can differentiate this much, the granuloma part. So the next significant lesion is lipoma. Okay, lipoma is nothing but a benign lesion which arises from the fat cells. So it can arise from anywhere. It can be the site. It varies from its site. It can arise anywhere in the body. Usual common sites are the forearm, arm, the nape of the neck, etc. Shoulder. Okay, so how will you describe it? It is usually a benign lesion, right? So it is well encapsulated and yellow mass. Okay, cut surface you can see a yellow and greasy appearance. So this is the again seen at the lump, seen at the nape of the neck. This is the gross. Okay, you can see that it is a well circumscribed lesion, nice and round yellow lesion. Okay, cut surface, when you cut again you will find a greasy appearance. You have a greasy appearance. Okay, histologically you can see, what you can see here is lobules of mature adipocytes. How do you describe a mature adipocytes? They have abundant cytoplasm, clear cytoplasm with a small pycnotic nucleus, usually separated by thin fibrous septa. Okay, this is the same thing, a magnified view. The next benign lesion is a nevus. Okay, nevus or a mole. Okay, this is usually a benign nevus which is common, very common. It can either be in the form of congenital, that is immediately after birth. It is usually uniform, symmetrical. Okay, if it is uniform, symmetrical, it indicates that it could be benign. And if it is irregular, variation in its color, variation in its growth, it can indicate a malignancy. Okay, so long-standing nevus is and if it's enlarging in size or if it is changing in color, okay, then you have to think of a malignant transformation. But it is very, very, very rare, but it can happen also. Okay, now this is again a nevus wherein you can see a lesion. Okay, there are different types of nevus. You have junctional nevus, compound nevus, and intradermal nevus. Okay, junctional nevus is, as the name implies, it is at the junction, at the dermo-epidermal junction. How does it arise? How these are small, flat, and usually symmetrical, uniform lesions. Okay, here you can see that there are some clusters of melanocytes. Okay, usually seen at this junction. This is the epidermis, this is the dermis. So invariably at the junction of both. That's why it is called as junctional. Then next you have something called as intradermal nevus. Intradermal means, as the name implies, it is intradermal, that is in the dermis. Okay, here you can see some nests of nevus cells. Okay, next coming to the malignancies arising from skin. You can have three important malignancies for you is histologically and grossly important. One is malignant melanoma, then you have squamous cell carcinoma and basal cell carcinoma. Okay, so first we'll go to malignant melanoma. What are the clinical features malignant melanoma? They usually asymptomatic. Okay, some of them they present with itching and pain, and typically there is a mnemonic for you to remember. It is ABCD. What is ABCD? What is A? A is asymmetry. B, border irregularity. C is color variation or variation in its color, and D, a diameter more than 6 millimeters. Okay, E is nothing but evolution. That means it can evolve and turn into malignancy anytime. That is, a nevus itself can change and turn malignant. Okay, asymmetry, it is variation. Okay, then you have border irregularity. It is not uniform. It shows some ups and downs. Color variation and variation in its diameter more than 6 millimeters. All these features put in together, you can think of a malignant melanoma. There are 4 different types of malignant melanoma. You have lentigo maligna, superficial spreading, and you have acral or mucosal lentiges. Okay, these are and the 4th type is nodular. Okay, this is the nodular type. So these 3 have radial growth, and mucosal or nodular part will have vertical growth. Now microscopically you have something very classical here. It is junctional activity. Okay, that is at the dermoepidermal junction. From there it will grow down into the dermis. Okay, now how do you describe these cells? These cells are larger cells than a nevus cells, but they have larger nuclei, prominent eosinophilic nucleoli, fine granular pigment. Okay, with fine granular pigment. So this is how you will describe a malignant melanoma cell. Okay, special stain used is Fontana Mason stain. So these are the malignant cells which you are seeing. Okay, with melanin pigment within. These are the malignant cells, the large cells with granular pigment in it. Now the next malignancy is basal cell carcinoma. Okay, so the most common location for basal cell carcinoma is, you draw an imaginary line from the connecting the lobe of the ear to the corner of the mouth. Okay, anywhere above this line is the usual site for basal cell carcinoma, and invariably it is on the face. Okay, so how will you describe the lesion? It is a locally invasive, okay, locally invasive, slow growing tumor. It rarely metastasizes. Okay, there is another name for this also called as rodent ulcer. Why is it called as rodent ulcer? Because it is locally infiltrative. It will slowly eat like a rodent. It will burrow and go in deep. Okay, so you might just see a small ulceration on the external surface, but it can be a deep-seated a progressive malignancy. Okay, so they can present as papules. Usually they have prominent blood vessels. Okay, advanced stages. See, this is the line joining from the angle of the ear to the angle lower lobe of the ear to the angle of the mouth. You can see that the malignancy is seen above that line. So that is the usual site. Okay, and in advanced cases it is also called as a rodent ulcer. See, here you can see this is a small ulcer. Okay, small ulcer, but when you go in deep, it would have been involved the deeper structures. It is pretty much aggressive tumor, but a locally aggressive. It does not metastasize usually. Okay, now what is the microscopy? They are usually seen as nodules and islands. Okay, nodules and islands of basophilic cells. These blue cells, these are basaloid cells. Okay, and they are in the form of nodules or in the form of islands. Okay, and they have mucinous matrix. If you can appreciate, this blue thing is their mucin matrix. And peripheral palisading, this is something called as peripheral palisading. It is nothing but fencing. When you remember, if you remember how a fence is, that is back to back arrangement. That is how this is arranged. That is called as peripheral palisading. Okay, and then you have cleft or separation artifact. I'll show you the next picture. That will see here you can differentiate. There is a space here, right? This is the separation artifact. Okay, see here within these cells, within these tumor cells, you can see all this cleft spaces. This is separation artifact. Okay, so peripheral palisading, separation artifact. Okay, islands of basaloid cells. Okay, blue basophilic cells. These are the classical features. Now the last one is squamous cell carcinoma. Okay, so squamous cell carcinoma is most commonly involving wherever you have a squamous lining, you can get a squamous cell carcinoma, but the most common site is skin. There are other areas also where squamous is lined by. Okay, there also you can get squamous cell carcinoma. So here you can see an ulceroproliferated lesion. This is the ulceroproliferated lesion seen on the foot, on the dorsal aspect of the foot. Okay, so there are two patterns of involvement. One is you have an ulcerated growth. It can be in the form of a ulcer, small ulcer, or it can be a fungating or a polypoid or verrucous type of growth, like a cauliflower type of growth. Okay, here again you are seeing a cauliflower type of growth with a small ulcer on top. Okay, so this is the histology for squamous cell carcinoma, wherein you are seeing irregular proliferation of epidermal cells. So if you can appreciate here, the epidermal cells are proliferating down into the dermis. Okay, and it is not in a regular pattern, it is irregular, haphazardly they are getting proliferated and it goes down into the dermis. Okay, and typically you have to describe these cells. How are these cells? They are malignant cells, right? So they will be they will have variation in the size and shape of the cell. That is, then you have hyperchromasia. Okay, anisocytosis, hyperchromasia, atypical mitosis. So this is what is atypical mitosis. If you can appreciate, you are finding a difference in the this is the mitosis, not regular but an irregular form of mitosis. Okay, and you are seeing keratin pulse, which is very classical for squamous cell carcinoma. Okay, here this is the keratin pulse, something like an onion peel appearance. Okay, the same thing, if you can appreciate, these are all keratin pulse, and these are squamous cells with malignant features. Okay. Thank you.